Um, and I think where I would love to start with I guess my questions is for you. When did you realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? When did you realize, you know what, like I want to start off on my own. I want to get this thing done. I don't know if that was always your idea. I know for me, I feel like every entrepreneur's journey is different. I just quit my corporate job like 2-3 months ago,
Yeah.
and full on this. But I'd love to hear, when was it that you decided, all right, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. This is what I'm gonna do.
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. I moved to Florida 9 years ago
Okay.
and started in the lawn care business
Mhm.
with, I worked for another company for a year, and working them for a year, I kind of saw the industry, what he was doing well, what he was not doing well. I learned a lot from him. I don't like to put anybody down. I mean, people do it right, people do it wrong. It happens, and people just don't know, right?
Mm.
So I learned a lot in that year. Ended up quitting within that year, and I just dove into it. I said, I think I can do it. I can do wellness. I could do better, maybe, and decided to jump full swing into it. In that process, though, it was more so of I think I can just do better, and it wasn't necessarily entrepreneurial until it really became, things started to kind of move forward. So we were in the landscape industry. We did lawn care for till 2018. So we did lawn care for 3 years, and we started in 2015. And once we kind of got into it, I had an interest for landscaping. So we actually dropped all of our lawn accounts and moved entirely into design build. So in about 3 months, we dropped 86 lawn accounts and moved entirely to design build. And that was a scary jump. It was necessary, but it was scary. And once we made that jump, that was when really kind of my passion started to kind of come up of what I want to do in business. How do I want to do in business? We've started, we do design build entirely. We've started a supply company, and we have a couple other things in the works right now that, that really kind of sparked that desire to do something. And really it came from kind of what you're talking about, right? We wanted to make a change. We want to do something different. Here in Florida, our local market is very saturated. St. Johns County is one of the fastest growing counties and has been for the past 5 years. And it's just been nuts here. There's been lawn care and landscape companies popping up left and right. And it's gotten to the point where it's just frustrating because a lot of people don't do it well, or they don't know how to do it well.
Mm-hmm.
So we've really gotten a passion for wanting to educate the industry, help other landscapers and designers do well, but also bring in the other products. How do you do it well? What is innovative out there that we could utilize to be doing better projects?
Mm-hmm.
And then educating the client on, why the products are not lasting or what they're doing maybe inconsistently on the build side. How can we educate them for a better product, a better install, and what costs are associated with that? So really over the past really 3 years, 4 years, it's been a passion of ours to educate, motivate the industry, and really be a force in the industry to do something different, specifically locally. But then, I think there's some things larger scale that we could look at as we continue to grow that idea. One of the biggest ideas we've had recently, and we're developing and kind of coordinating, is this idea called industry connections, where really we bring people together to do something better.
Mm.
As you raise the tide, all the boats lift. So as we elevate the industry, do better in the industry, then everybody does better, right? But where does that start? Education.
Mm.
You need to be educated. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, but they don't know how to run businesses. They don't know how to effectively run businesses. So can we educate them to run better companies? Can we educate them on better sales plans? Can we educate them on better profit and loss knowledge and understanding? Like, half of them can't read P&Ls. Now, again, I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody. There's just a lack of knowledge and education, to a degree. Now, there is some of it out there, and some of them are very intelligent, and I think there's a lot of people doing it well. But I think in our industry, I think we're suffering right now for that lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
So we really want to work with some of the manufacturers to bring some of their products down here. And for me at this point also too, I'm mainly speaking on our local market, more so than nationally. Our local market is suffering right now. And unfortunately it's become a problem for the people who want to do it right, because you have all the guys who come in and don't do it necessarily well, or they can undercut everybody and their costs aren't as high, and whatever, whatever the case may be. So really that's our passion, is we're really here to educate people, We want to raise the industry, want to be better in the industry. And I want to take other landscapers with me. It's not just about my own company. It's if we all do better, then we all do better, right? So how do we bring serving into the service industry is one of my keys. And that's what's pulled that passion. It's not even really my business and my company. It's, how can we affect change at a greater level and with more people involved? I think that's a key in what we need to do and have a mindset as business owners is how are we affecting change for other businesses? Because that only helps everybody else. That only helps your business in that. So that's kind of where my passion is, my desire is for the next however long we're in business is to grow that idea.
100%. No, that is super exciting to hear. And I think from what you're saying, it really sounds like you're trying to elevate the standards of business, the standards of education, really the standards of people in the design and build industry in that area, in that local area that you're at and everything. I mean, so I think I really want to dive into that leap of faith that you did as well, from because you were doing only lawn maintenance, and then you dropped 80 accounts. So like, I don't know. I just walk me through what was that like, and what sparked your interest? And did you have any experience in hardscaping? Like, were you like doing designs at all at that time? Like, did you know people that were in the design and build industry? Like, how do you go from like obviously mowing lawns and doing all those different contractors clients, and then like, all right, like I'm gonna start designing patios and designing all the different stuff. Like, what was that like kind of transitionary period for you?
It was one of the scariest moves I've ever made in business. I had everybody around me, my business advisors, telling me it was a bad idea. My own wife thought it was a bad idea. And it boiled down to, I started designing a little bit, just some basic software, some sketches and whatnot. I've always liked drawing and different things. So I've had an eye for artistic layouts and different things. Like I can do that to a degree naturally. And so I began to draw and have fun with that. I tried it out. We were developing a landscape division, but I had maybe, 2 or 3 jobs a month at maybe 1,500 to $5,000 at the most. Like that was a big job at that point for us. And so I was getting into it. I was excited about it. I wanted to do it. But the lawns were just so repetitive. And so, it took a full-time person just to take care of the lawn side. And it was just so busy. And as I'm doing that and I'm kind of praying about it and asking the Lord about it, he told me I was too busy. So really the Lord told me I'm too busy and not effective. And isn't that one of the worst things in life, to be busy but ineffective?
Yeah.
Especially as a man, you're just like, I'm doing nothing with my life.
Yeah.
So he told me that, Lord, just praying about it. And the Lord told me you're too busy. You're not effective. And I was like, okay, well, I need to change something then. And in his leading, we went towards design build. I had the artistic side. I started diving into softwares and how I could design. I've gotten to structure studios at this point, and it was all self-taught. So I didn't go to any classes. I didn't figure anything out. I have no background in it. It was all just self-taught and desire to do it. And really the leading of God and to get there. And I remember telling my dad, I've talked to him a little bit about business, my wife, and then 2 of my business advisors. And I told them, I said, I'm going to drop all the lawn accounts. I'm going to pursue this because the Lord told me I'm too busy. They're like, that's a horrible idea. First of all, it's all your income. That's all your only income. You're barely making bills right now. How is that even going to work? And I remember talking to one of them and I said, the Lord told me, so I have to. And he was like, well, then there's no question. You got to do it. So with that decision, that leap of faith, I decided, all right, it's time to drop it. So we dropped them. And then I pursued heavily. When I get on something, I don't relent. And so I got onto that design side heavily. I started pursuing it and then just started selling jobs and learning and growing in it and just figuring it out kind of as I went. Wow. And it was just pure passion to do it. That's really then when it started to kind of cultivate in my mind of, we can do so much more than we really realize we can do if we put our mind to it. And really we have, purpose involved with it. I firmly believe purpose is involved in what we're doing now. And you can't take that away from me. I don't care how well it goes. It's still purpose. And I'm going to pursue after it full-heartedly. And it really created more of a drive. I had a drive, but it created more of a drive in me, just those steps and taking those steps. was like, what else can we do? I mean, we jump from that to here. What else can we go do? What else can we figure out? Who else do I need to get around me to go accomplish these things? So in that season, I started talking to my GC. He's a good friend of mine, and him and I began to talk about business. I was actually starting to design projects I couldn't build at all. And I looked at him like, I sold the project, but I don't know how to build it. And I was like, hey, can you come help me? So he would help me figure out that transition. And then eventually I finally convinced him to go into business with me. And so him and I finally created our partnership, and now we're running full steam ahead on that. And then developing this network of people to really do things. I've actually stepped away from design. Jonathan is helping me design, and his company is helping me design a huge commercial project we're working on down in Jacksonville. And I have another one, Colin, with Design Works. Him and I've created a relationship, and I have him design with me. I've actually stepped away from that field. Can I do it? Yes, I have the software. I have 2 computers that run it. I love to do it, but that's not my fit. I'm here to build relationships. So I think, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent a little bit, but I think this whole idea in growing and taking that leap of faith has shown that there's so many different aspects of business, and it doesn't just take one person to do it. It takes more people to do it, and then you got to find the right people to fit in those positions and those places. What is their fit? What is their gifting and what they're good at? My GC is phenomenal at building anything basically that I can throw at him. I mean, he comes up with ideas that I'm like, I never could figure out how to build that, but I can put it together on a piece of paper, right? Or Jonathan is more creative than I am in some areas that I'm like, I lean on him in those areas. But I can build the relationships that are necessary to make those things come to fruition, right?
100%.
So I think, that leap really showed me there's so much more to this than we really realize, even in everyday business, that really business is about relationships. It's not about what you do. It's about who you know, and it's about what are you going after? I'm not just going after landscapes now. That side of my business is great. I love it. I'm going to keep pursuing it. That's a big part of what we do. But it's about relationships. It's about who am I building those relationships with? I have these other designers now that I work with, and I love to tap into their network. And, how do we bring, and that brings serving back to the client, right? How are we bringing the best product? How are we bringing the best project to the client? How are we designing the best, design that fits them? I'm not just designing something so they pay me a decent check. Like, I want to design something that fits them. I myself cannot do that just by myself. I want to bring the right people in to bring that picture, bring that product, and bring that project together the best for that client. So,
wow. Yeah, I loved hearing your testimony. I could talk about faith and entrepreneurship for hours too, but I think one thing that one thing I think that sticks out from what you're saying is obviously the relationship portion of it. It seems that that's something that's really where your strength is. Obviously, you said that you can do the designs, you can do the landscape part of it, but it seems like where you're the niche and where you're excelling right now is building those networks and those partnerships and all different stuff. So in the design and build industry and in your guys' specific expertise, how do you determine like, okay, this is a partnership and relationship like I want to pursue? Like, this person would be a good person to go in business with. This person would be somebody I would partner with to do projects or to do these designs and things like that. How do you determine that for yourself? And what would you advise be to people that are building these partnerships in the design and build industry?
Normally, if you're in a sales or you're a relationship builder naturally, you have communication skills and how to communicate your vision or your passion. So what I like to do, and the way I kind of gauge and discuss that, is pitch passion and vision first. If they can't connect with me on that level, there's not a lot of business stuff we'll do together. If they will connect with me on that level and be passionate and excited with me, and we can really get an excitement about that, then I know there can be a greater relationship there. Because there's multiple types of relationships. You have relationships where you're peer-to-peer. You guys are gunning after the same things. You can really kind of talk at the same level. You have peer to mentor relationship, right? You have kind of mentorship type relationships where you're trying to help pull people up and discuss with them how to do those things. And then you have you to mentor relationship. So who's somebody who's going to push you? So when I get around people, when you speak that vision and that passion, you kind of get a gauge of where they're at and then you kind of dictate your conversation from there. So if it's somebody who is asking a lot of questions and they're uncertain and they're just kind of, not sure of how to make some next moves, that might be a way to be a mentor to them to a degree. And really, I kind of leave it in their court. Hey, I'm available. If you really want to talk, get on my schedule. Let's talk. I'm more than happy to do that to a degree, here and there, and we can handle how that looks. But I love to, pour into the next generation or next person who wants to learn. If it's peer-to-peer, if they're running with me, that's kind of like me and Jonathan. Like, we are both visionary, and we really kind of go on that same level that him and I will just start running ideas. So I'll get on his schedule because him and I are busy. I'll be like, hey, we need to do this every week, or we need to do this every month, and we need to be gunning these ideas still together so we can really pursue this idea. And then the mentors, you'll just have somebody who's like, I see what you're saying. You just think about this, this, and this, and then you kind of shut your mouth and listen and kind of just, can I talk to you again? So I kind of gauge the conversation based on what their conversation's going towards and what their goals are. It's all about speaking vision and passion and seeing what that response is, engage it from there. And then if they're not wanting to talk really, and you're kind of seeing it's dead in the water and they're really not, then you're like, okay, I guess we're not a great fit. That's fine. I'll talk to you at some point, stay friendly, obviously, and then leave it at that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love that. Speaking the vision and passion, because if your vision and passion comes from your values at the end of the day, and if you're really at the end of the day, if you don't align there at the value portion, then you're not going to align with the vision and passion and vice versa type of thing.
Yep.
I love that. I'm definitely going to use that in my future conversations too, the vision and passion part of it.
And you'll see where people are at that point.
Yeah.
You'll see if they either really care and there's a development of that relationship, or if they don't really care, you may be able to speak into them and be like, man, you got to have vision for your life. You got to have vision for your company, especially business people. If they don't have vision, how can you set branding up? How can you set up any type of marketing strategy? Because you have no idea where you're going. You're going to be literally throwing darts at a wall that you have no idea your direction. If you have no vision and passion and these business people are not sure what they want to do, we need to find that, figure that out. A lot of entrepreneurs are very good at starting, phenomenal at starting. They have an idea, they can go start it. They're extremely good at that, and not everybody is. But they don't know how to then develop a strategy to get those things attainable. They may see pictures, and it's like, but how do you get there? If you can create a strategy, then create some dartboards and pinpoints of where you need to actually be at, then you can hit those marks. And then you can get a sales guy behind you that can actually hit those marks. And if they can, then you can achieve literally whatever you want to. But it starts with vision. It starts with, what are you trying to accomplish? What are you going after? And when you have that set, then you work backwards on your goals and set things and find the people to accomplish that vision. But if you have no direction, then you have nothing to go after. Then what's the point in being in business?
Of course. No, 100%. And so speaking on the brand portion, so for Buma Landscaping, is that brand, are you looking to build that more into obviously the service of design and build it as that service you're providing? And are you also going to build a separate brand of that, kind of like you're saying, like that whether it's like a mastermind or like the coaching type of thing, are those going to be one-on-one? Or are those going to be separate? Are they going to be together? What's your vision on that end?
So they're already separate. So we have Buma Landscaping, which is your design build, which is really application of industry connection thought process, right? It's literally happening right now with these partners and showing that it's possible. So that brand is in and of itself, it's a high-end brand. We're developing it more and more, but it's a high-end design build brand. Then we have Buma Solutions, which is my coaching company, coaching consulting. I have a executive who's been in business for 30 years, and he is helping me run that and coaching and developing strategies to grow companies, really from the 2 million plus companies in revenue. I help on the startup side in that because I just love startups. I love entrepreneurialism, but I'm not the guy to take it 2 million plus, and I know that. So I've actually pulled him in to help get past that strategy because I know I'm not that guy to continue to pursue past, which is fine. I don't need to take it past, right? Where a lot of people kind of get locked up. Then we have our supply company that supplies our landscaping company, other landscaping companies around here. The supply is an issue here, and we just, it's a problem, and we're going to fix that. And then we have actually industry connections, which is this thought process where the masterminds, and Buma Solutions becomes the support to that, to coach and mentor people if needed, and some of the other, ways to kind of talk things through and how to do business. Buma Landscaping becomes a picture of how that works and actually it be happening in real time. And then DNS and our supply company actually becomes the hub, the location, the place, and the physical spot that we can hold those events. So that's kind of the overall vision. I have a whole lot more into it, and if we had more time, and I'd love to hash out a whole web of what that looks like. We have some things that are coming up with, and we can roll you into the fold of some of that if interested long term. But industry connections is my purpose. Okay, if I had to break this down and kind of show you, industry connections is my purpose. I want to bring people together. I want to develop relationships. I want to do business different. I want to show them how to do business collectively together. We can help each other. And that idea is there. I just want to show, I want to do it. We should do it. Buma Landscaping, our design build, is our company that does it every day in and out, shows how that's possible, brings partners together to actually build these projects over here in Florida. And then really Buma Solutions is a support to that. And that's why that business even came about, right? So it kind of stemmed from the issues I saw in my Buma Landscaping company. From our Buma Landscaping company, that's where I saw the issues, I saw the problems. And so these other ideas have come from that industry issues I've been seeing. And those ideas, and all of it too, is I'm not trying to do it myself. It's not about me. It's not about Buma Landscaping. It's how do we collectively do it together and raise the tide and help each other and grow. I'm all for bringing other people on board to discuss ideas and thought processes and how that works. I do not want to be the one to think I can only do it or it's only with us. That's not it at all. Who else can we pull in from the industry to be like, hey, this is how I would do this. That's an awesome idea. Let's implement that. Let's show other people how to do that. I mean, how do you grow your sales from you're barely making payroll to, we're putting away 2 to 3 times what we did last year? How do you grow exponentially? How do you handle that type of growth? How do we have those conversations and talk to each other and grow our margins and help each other in the design build? There's margin in design build, and maintenance side and other sides of companies, there's not as much margin. In our supply company, our margin's smaller, so there's conversations on how that looks. How does that need to look?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I definitely didn't realize that the web, like you were saying, was that like interconnected and built up, because it's exciting, obviously, but it's also really, really, really just like, it's really inspiring as well, because you came to Florida, you saw so many issues, and you're like, as a true entrepreneur, as a true like self-starter, like, why don't I just create what's not here?
Yeah.
This is not here, so I'm just gonna create it. And I'm curious, was some of that in Michigan? Like, were some of those things? Because I've also realized in South Florida, because I'm based in Fort Lauderdale. Actually, I'm like a little more south. My other partner's based in South Florida too, but all the contractors we talk to, they're all up north. They're all in different parts of the state, and we have one partner. We have one partner that we work with in Brevard County, so not too far from where you're at, but there's really not that. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I'm not doing good enough research, but it doesn't seem like in South Florida, or just Central Florida in general, doesn't seem to be many of people that are doing what you're doing. They're designing and they're building. It doesn't seem like there's much. There's many, and I'm curious. Like, do you know why? Have you been able to see like why it's such a it's like that in Florida, at least?
I couldn't speak directly to why. I know education is a problem here. One of our major suppliers, Tabby Stone, who supplies our Techo block, has said there's just an issue of education. So up north in Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, those main areas where they've really kind of saturated with Techo block and a couple other manufacturers that are heavily in there. Pave Tools up there. We've talked to Pave Tool. So we're bringing all of them down to Florida to finally do this project with us, to really finally start to bring them down. But what I've seen is there's not the education side or a desire for the education. And it's unfortunate that not a lot of people in the hardscape industry want to learn it down here, or even the landscape industry want to learn it down here. It's just not as desired or necessary. I think we have a complacency issue here with a lot of the builders. They are doing what they're going to do, and that's how it is. They've been doing it for 20 years. That's great and all. And I'm fine with you do decent practices, but there's new things to do. There's new products to introduce to the market. There's new ways we can implement these things. And I think a lot of the hardscapers here that are new are scared because they're not that big of a company. They don't know how to bring it down here. I've been pushing for 3 years to try and get Teco down here heavily, and they're just not really wanting to do it. I understand why to a degree. It's a new market. It's new for them. It's takes money to get down here, all those different aspects. But this project we have in Jacksonville, we'll be able to pull them down here specifically to talk about why do you do permeable space in Florida? Permeable hardscapes are not talked about here. Why? We live in Florida. Like, we're the lowest state. We have the most water. It rains like crazy here. Why would we not talk about permeable space more and more? I think it's somewhat, people don't know, somewhat cost. It's more expensive. Teco block is more expensive than like our Tremron and Belgard we have here. Fine. I got no problem with that. But the why. People don't, the sales side are not selling why. And one of my biggest things in selling is, why would we use this product? Why would we not use that product in different applications? Again, I'm not going to talk anybody down, but there's different applications for better types of products and different types of products. Has Tremron done some of the permeable spaces? Yes, to a degree. I think Teco's better at it. Do I know that for an entire fact? Not necessarily. I've dove into it pretty heavily, but it's just not talked about down here. So why are we not holding these bigger classes, these bigger masterminds, these bigger events to educate people on why we should be doing this? It's almost like we have the mentality it's just been done that way, so we're going to do it that way. Same thing in the garden center industry right now. That's why we're going to develop a 6-acre garden center. We're going to build it out, and I want to hold that as education. Again, my whole purpose behind it is education more than selling plants and materials. We're going to sell plants and materials and do it well and effectively, but I want to educate people, right? We have a lot of nurseries. It's directly in my local area and kind of out a little bit. I'm thinking more in like the Jacksonville greater area and then further, that just aren't wholesaling it well to landscapers. It's either difficult to figure out, getting your, they're either not available very well, or you kind of have these pockets of people that are doing it well. And it's like, why don't we have a better nursery presence here? I just think there is a hole in the industry that could be filled, that people, it's awareness and education. I guess I'm going to boil it down to 2 words. It's awareness and education. And you're right. There are not many people doing it well here. You know, they're up in New York charging an astronomical amount per square foot compared to what we can charge down here. It's like, why is that? I kept asking that for years. I was like, why is that? It's education. They know what they're doing up there, and they can tell a client, this is why it makes sense to do it this way. And they're like, great, well, I'm going to pay that. Down here, they're like, I can get it here for $7 a square foot. And you're like, I can't even touch that. It doesn't even make sense to touch that because I'm not even at cost. I mean, my papers alone cost this and that per square foot, right? You know, so the margin doesn't even make sense. So it's education, it's awareness, and then it's flat out just getting people driven to do it well. So that's where I want to inspire people to actually do it well and do it right, and for the why behind it. Now, people are going to push back on that. Fine, so be it. You're going to have that. But it takes somebody tenacious and a group of people that are tenacious, not just somebody. It takes a group of people that are tenacious to change something to really go do that. And that's what I think we're starting to cultivate with this industry connections idea. And really, I see that being national. It's not just going to stay here. It's not going to stay in Florida. It should go national. We should push that in other cities, states, and places, that mentality. Just because they do well and they charge a whole lot more does not mean always that their practices are great and their business practices are great. But we can inspire them to be better and be like, man, they're doing well. Their employees stay. Their retention's different. And they're in a state that shouldn't have that. Why is that? You know, that type of mentality.
Yeah, 100%. The way you described the problem, it makes a lot of sense from the vendors and from the wholesalers. They can't sell it to the contractors. The contractors don't even want it. And they can explain to the contractors that this is obviously a good product and would improve their work. And then contractors, they can't sell that to the homeowners. The homeowners don't even know that exists. So the homeowners are just kind of going and bidding for like the cheapest thing they can get, and the contractors are doing the same thing as well. So it's just like this, like you were saying, this awareness and education problem that really it can't be solved from either of those parties there. It really has to be someone like yourself outside of that mold who's bringing a new solution, new, and we're kind of bridging the gap that can kind of start the domino effect from the wholesaler all the way down to the vendor, down to the homeowner, where the homeowner's like, okay, I trust this contractor who's actually going to do a good job, and that's why I'm going to pay the higher price. That's where we're going to get the techno block and all that different stuff. So, wow, that's really exciting. Tell me a little bit about the showroom so I saw some videos and the pictures and everything. Did that showroom start? What was the vision for that always to be able to hold those education things, or was it more for the homeowners? Where did that kind of start, and what's like the end goal with it?
So we've started a showroom. It's very small. We're in a warehouse space right now that we hold it in. And it started off with just wanting to be for the homeowners. And so basically I wanted to create a space they could come feel their hardscapes, see it. Like application of how high that seating wall is. Can I sit on it? What other types of rocks that go with this? So the whole idea was really bring them into it, you know, from 3D design to showroom really gives them applicable. How does a pergola look with that? You know, it shows all the materials kind of together. In a design, it's great, but you can't touch it. You don't know what that wall block and that capstone look like really effectively in person until you sit on it. You know, you're like, oh, that wall is way too high because it's 4 block high as opposed to 3 or whatever the case may be. So really it was in essence just to help them see it. But then it started to turn into, man, we have this space. Can we start teaching in here and talking about these applications and different types of products and how it's shown? Like a lot of people have a hard time getting into custom because they're like, well, how do I put that together? How does a water feature sit with the hardscapes and sit with this and that? And what type of border should I do? And there's just like these vast amount of options between all the products. When you get into custom, sometimes we're talking to clients and I'm like, my gosh, there's so many things to weed through. You have your pavers, you have your border to your pavers, you have your seating wall with a capstone, you have your fire pit. What type of product is your fire pit even? Are we doing gas? Are we doing wood? You know, is it out of stacked stone? Is it out of made out of iron, or is it made, you know, is it a custom made bowl? Then you have your pergola and your wood options and your Toya grid versus your traditional pergola. You know, then you have your shade sails, then you have your lighting and the different lighting features. And so what this kind of showroom did is bring all those pieces and elements kind of together in an application to show them, this is how you can start to put this together. I can pose different products and show them, you know, from a design eye, I would put these fixtures with this type of hardscape, with this type of, you know, pergola. You're talking about wanting more of a modern, okay? So I have a modern setup here. I want to show you a modern pergola with some modern fixtures, you know, and then what vendors do you go for those things? You know, one of the vendors we've worked with is, I'm a huge fan of FX Luminaire. I think their integrated systems are phenomenal. I've been very happy with their applications and their installation process. And we did one project for a client that was 100% zoning and dimming from his phone. And he could play around with it and adjust it around his pool, all the way down his 300-foot long dock that went out to his boat. And he could play with all of his lighting. And then he could control his fire pit from his phone. Wow. I mean, that's all he wanted. So he was automation. So immediately I'm like, FX is one of the better ones for that. Let's go towards that product and let's discuss installation. You know, so I could show him those fixtures. I could show him the application of all that and how he could play with it on his phone. And that sold that project. Again, there's so many different applications and styles and ways you can do it when you can start to narrow down that thought process and help the client navigate, but then also help contractors navigate. How do you help this builder navigate? They're thinking about the build side. They're not thinking about how your fixtures, your brass and black fixtures go along with your pergola. But if they have a better eye with that, they can then help the client make some of those decisions if they understand that and they can kind of put those things together. So when you build a showroom, it helps kind of bring all those things together, those pieces. You can talk about it, you can showcase it, but then also showcase the higher end brands and the difference between the higher end versus the lower end. So I have Techo Block sitting next to Tremron, and I just show the difference in the pavers. Don't let me talk about it. Show this is what the pavers look different. They're more dense. They're heavier. You can see some of the major imperfections in the Tremron pavers as opposed to the Techo Block, just from manufacturing process. And I understand the manufacturing process can be that way. I get it. It's stone. It's natural materials. Like, I get it. but you can see that flat out from the material. Same thing with lighting fixtures. So they can pick up one fixture and another fixture and be like, my gosh, that brass is so much heavier than this one. That's because this one comes with a 10-year warranty. This one has a 3-year warranty. And you'll see why, because of how well they're built. Integrated versus non-integrated. I mean, I could go into so many different things with different products and things that we can sell, but that helps showcase that from a client perspective, gets them comfortable. But then on a contractor standpoint, kind of shows them, when you give that to your client, you show them, man, you can sell so much better, so much more, and it creates a trust with the client. They're familiarize them with the product as opposed to, I designed this, that's great, it looks cool, but what does that paver look like that's going in? What does that feel like? I mean, your travertine versus your hardscape or your pavers, how does that feel, look different? You know, is it going to reflect like crazy? Then they can see it in daylight and be like, okay, that's not that bad. Compared on your design, it looks like it's a white blotch in a sense, because we can't get it exact, right? So I think it really helps with that. Turf too. Turf right now is blowing up down here. We're a dealer for Fusion Turf, and it shows that there's so much different styles and reasons for doing turf and applications of turf. They have so many different things, from putting green to just your general turf to dogs to all the issues you're trying to kind of resolve with turf in your yard. It's like, what does it feel like? So I have a board I set them on so people can walk on them and feel what those different blade heights, different blade widths feel like, so I can walk them in a direction of, these are going to be the ones that are going to feel the best. This style is going to be the best for you because you want a putting green with a nice chipping area. You know, this one will last long, especially in our Florida heat, Florida sun. We get very hot. If it's in this area, you're going to have to go with this product because it won't deteriorate then, right? Turf can melt if you don't have it in the right spot. Again, education though. How have I developed this thought process to know how to sell these products and be able to, in a 2-minute span, be able to go from hardscape, seam walls, fire pits to turf to putting greens to lighting? Education. I've educated myself on what the perks and styles are for different products, and I know the differences, and I can intelligently speak that to a client and let them know. So the showroom helps with that. Just education helps with that.
Wow. Yeah, you're creating like a whole concentrated hub for just all of that, all the education to happen. So,
yep. And I want to bring the manufacturers here to do that. So I don't want to speak as the expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to bring Techo Block down here to talk about their product and why. I want to bring FX down here or other manufacturers down here to talk about their lighting. I want to bring Fusion Turf to come in and just spew out all the information and show application. I want to bring Pave Tool down here to talk about, how do you install these hardscapes better? Pave Tool is awesome with a lot of their tools, and we're going to be bringing them down here just to do a thing on tools and why. You don't see those in Florida. You don't see anything innovative tool-wise in Florida, and that frustrates the daylights on them. It's like, why? Why are we working so hard? You know, I mean, like, you still work hard, and I still think work ethic's great, but like, we could work so much more effectively and efficiently, and your guys could be so much more effective and learn so much more with some of these innovative tools on how to do it right, that I want to bring them in here to show them that, you know, and an application. Like, well, why do I need to spend $15,000 on that piece of equipment? Here is application of it being done, and we just cut down on 30% of your labor because of this one tool, and you'll make it up in 2 jobs. And then that tool is pure profit for you as you make up that time and effort involved while charging the correct amount for your hearts. Again, education, man. It's just education.
Wow. Yeah, the having the right tools and materials can really make a difference for the labor costs, obviously, and then being able to obviously make more profit and margins off of what you're doing, because you're able to charge more for a higher quality project at the end of the day. So,
and then do you know your numbers? Most people don't.
Oh yeah, synced up. Get that software, knowing your numbers, everything.
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I think one question I had, and I know I want to be respectful of your time and everything. I know we got like 10 more minutes here and so on. So let's say I'm a design and build contractor in your area in Florida, and obviously I've been doing the same thing for 10 years, 5 years, using the same vendors, using the same design software, using the same tools and everything. What would be your advice to them when they're kind of scared of getting over that hump of using the new materials and educating themselves? Where do they start? What's your advice to them to actually start getting to that next level and really increasing the quality of their work?
I would ask them first, what is your why in business and why are you doing it?
Hmm.
Because you shouldn't start growing your company if you don't know why. So why do you want to grow? Why do you want to make higher margin? What's the point behind all of that? And then it would be, I would want to come as a support to them. That's where Industry Connections, Buma Solutions, and other entities are a support to that, and be like, how can I help you? Not, and again, I don't want to, what resources can I help just serve you with? No cost associated, right? People get scared of that because like, oh, what's the catch? No. I legitimately want to serve you. So how can my knowledge and understanding serve you and help you? And in Buma Solutions, we have, and we're going to be implementing it in the Industry Connections of a resource page, basically, of things to just help people grow in general. And if you are capable of implementing yourself, it's free to take it. Run with it, please. Run with your vision. Run with these tools that are necessary and go with it. If you need some help implementing, which a lot of people do, but if you need help implementing, let's come up with a plan that we can help implement, coach, and mentor you through that. I think all businesses to a degree need some type of coaching and mentoring, whether it's a coaching business or it's mentors who have done it that you know personally that you can reach out to. I think all business people need that around them in general. So I would say I'd ask really those kind of core questions. What's your why? Who's around you? And what tools do you have right now? And what tools can we get in your hand to help you progress forward? And just start basic. I mean, just start there. But if you don't have a why, you shouldn't start. You have no direction. You don't know what you're doing and what's the point of it. You may be like, I'm a hardscape contractor and I do this and do that, and I'm here just to put hardscapes in. No, you're not. You're putting in patios for clients to have their dinners at, to have their family time in. You're providing a product that eventually creates memories for a client. So what are you actually selling? You're selling a value to that client to create an outdoor space for them to live and create memories in. You're not just selling hardscapes. So my first question to my clients is always, what are you doing with this patio? Because I want to design it, or I want to build it in a way that it makes sense for what you want to use it for. I can put in a patio. If you're just like, I want to grill a couple times out here, it's just for sitting out here with my wife, great. Let me design you a real small patio, little area to grill. I don't even need to do an outdoor kitchen. Let's just a small area to grill, and it creates a complete open space for your view. I'm doing it for the client. They're like, yeah, we entertain all the time. We have, 4 kids at this age that are a little bit older. They're going to have friends over, this and that. Great. You know what I want to do? I want to design you one with a pergola. You need to have multiple seating areas. So you need to have a couple sections. You need to have an outdoor kitchen, and you need to have a decent sized patio space that walks out to possibly a putting green for your entertaining space, and a fire pit. Because you need to have collective areas you can entertain, again, though, it's education. What are you selling to the client? So it's why. Buma Landscaping does not sell hardscapes. I sell value in their outdoor living space. I design for story. I don't know if you've read the book Story Brand, but that's what branding's all about. It's putting your client in the driver's seat, in the hero state of, why are we here? Why'd you call me to be here? What does that involve? And that's what Buma Landscaping is all encompassing. That's the brand we're creating, is that.
Yeah. No, you understand their end goal. You understand what it is that they're wanting. I mean, at the end of the day, they want the patio to, like you're saying, making the memories, like the family time, all of that. Like that's like invaluable to people. And you're coming in as the guide, like you're saying, the whole story brand thing, walking them through that process as they're the. Yeah, I love that one. Right? I watch a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's that. I think that's huge, because a lot of I've seen a lot of contractors. They don't. That's just their craft. Like they understand. They're expert craftsmen, and that's what they do. But there's the whole the selling and the value. People don't want. They could care less about like the hardscape or the patio, whatever it is. They want that feeling. It's a very emotional. It's a very emotional thing at the end of the day that you're selling. And if you can tap into that, it changes the game for sure.
Oh, and then you tap into, what does that product actually do for them? So what would Techo Block do for somebody who wants an outdoor living space? How does that benefit them in that outdoor living space long term? to create the space and the look they're going for, but also then maintenance you can talk to, and then longevity of it, and how does that product really bring in that element that's going to make it their space. You know, that takes learning sales and learning how to sell correctly, because I think we've gotten too self-centered in our sales. Again, you're talking about craftsmen. They may not even do it intentionally, but it's their craft. It's what they're good at doing. They're not selling for vision. They're not selling for what that end goal is for that client. You know, so I think can we sell to serve?
Yeah.
Can you have a sales pitch that's not just because I want to sell Tuckle Block doesn't mean I'm going to sell it to every client. And I don't pitch it to every client. If they're looking for budget, I'm like, great, well, let's go this direction. I'm not trying to make every dollar out of you. What do you need? What makes sense for your purposes of this patio or for this outdoor living space? You know, I'll downgrade a pergola 100% to be like, you just want a covered space. You don't want this grand piece to be out there to be a showpiece that you're going to be sitting under. You just want something to cover you. Let's go this direction. Oh, you want something that's going to be versatile, and you want an outdoor space you can have. Let's go to a louvered pergola, automatic smart louvered pergola, right? So if you're serving the client and you want to sell to serve them, then you have such better intentionality with how you sell than you do if you're just trying to serve yourself and just trying to make a dollar. Right?
No, I love that. I've never heard it put that way, selling to serve, and obviously your business is serving the community, and that you have the vision, the passion behind it. You're able to really serve them that way.
Yep.
No, I think that's beautiful. I think that's definitely my main takeaway from this conversation is because also in with our business, we're trying to figure out, okay, like obviously we provide marketing services and everything, but like how do we really like go above and beyond with every single one of our partners and really not just be another like agency. We want to partner with them. We want to be able to serve them. And I think as well, just like how do I use this business for the kingdom as well? Like I don't know what does God want me to do with this business? I don't know, bro. I don't know. We just started a year ago, but I think that's definitely like what I've been thinking about a lot too as well is how did that get caught up in the money as well and like what we're building, but like how does God want me? Do I put a Bible verse on my website? Do I tithe more? Like I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. I'm praying a lot about that. But
well, your faith and passion and the kingdom should emanate from your company. That's why I talk all about serving.
Yeah.
The greatest of all is the servant of all, right? I'm always, whenever you talking about our company, what we're doing, we're serving. I'm going to serve the client. Whatever position I'm in my company, I'm serving. How do I serve my employees? How do I serve people around me? How am I serving you? When I make relationships with other landscapers and I cold call and I'm just trying to develop relationships, my mentality is, how do I serve you? How can my company support you? How can I help you? What do you need? Right? So that the kingdom and your purpose should emanate from that. And what does the Bible say? The Bible says that God gives us, he gives us wisdom to gain wealth. So he gives us the wisdom to create wealth. It's in Deuteronomy. He gives us the wisdom to create wealth. So I believe as business people, he's given us the wisdom. So how do we honor him first? Are we honoring him in what he's given us? Because he's given us the wisdom to create it. This is not intellectually my own ability in that sense, right? Lean not in your understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he's going to make your path straight. So you want to lean on how he says to develop business. I've studied kingdom wealth and a couple other subjects that just fascinate me. And really what he's talking about when he says create wealth, it's actually a brotherhood. It's actually people around you to go do business. So it's going in the direction of that commonwealth principle of we're going to do business together. That's industry connections. That's the whole thought process, is we're doing this together to raise the tide. We're doing this together to be better. It's not about Buma Landscaping. You know, we'll have branding and things that we do, sure, but it's not about Buma Landscaping. It's not about me. It's about how are we collectively doing something. So, you know, when you ask what does God need you to do, in general, kingdom should emanate and percolate through your company. It should be evident that you do business as the kingdom. That should be in everything and everywhere. It should be obvious that that's the case. Now, does that mean you need to have a scripture on every post and everything you do? No. But the way you talk, the character, your character should always emanate God, his character. You should always be taking the kingdom with you wherever you go. So you should be a light. That's, man, that is, I'm so glad you brought that up and are talking that way, because that is industry connections and why I want to do it, right? We should go attack the business sectors of society. We should be the ones as kingdom citizens going to make changes in the industry. Every area is going to be shaken. I mean, we should go into these sectors and show them this is how you do business. This is the kingdom way to do business. And they're going to look at us and be like, how are you so profitable? How are you so managing that well? How are you so happy and running 4 companies? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it's kingdom, man. It's purpose. I'm not here because I'm doing a job. Like, this isn't my job. This is purpose. I'm driven by what God's told me to do, not by what I want to do and accomplish and money and cars and whatever, right? The hose gets wet and I can make some money, and money isn't a problem. But does money have me?
True.
Right? You can't let money have you. Can you make money? Yes, but it can't have you.